Good morning and welcome to the Stitchery Podcast. My name is Jonna and I am from Mars, Pennsylvania, which is north of Pittsburgh, and this is row 3. Thank you if you're returning, and if you're new to this, I appreciate you taking the time to watch. As you know from my past recordings, I was having some issues with recording. I'm brand new to this, and first I tried to use my iPad, then I tried to use my camera, my Nikon camera, and kept getting cut off, and finally I wanted to try this again, and I was very blessed to receive a new recording camera from my family for Mother's Day. So I'm very excited to try this out, and I also have an editing program too, so that should help me to make this a little bit smoother for viewing. So on row 2, when I was cut off on part 2, I was talking about sewing, and I was talking about well, actually I had been talking about this bag, and it was my first lined bag, and I went on to show this, and I was trying to make the same sort of bag, but it didn't turn out so well. So I decided I was going to make this into a swift cover. So I just turned it upside down and boxed it out a little bit and added the drawstring. So when you put it on, swift cover, and you just pull it in at the bottom. So this protects now my swift cover. I have 2 cats, and one of them just loves to rub up on it and tries to chew it. It's a wood one, and so now this will protect that. So I just wanted to start off with that. This is a podcast regarding knitting and crocheting and sewing and any kind of crafts really. And so I'm going to start off with knitting. I had showed you a shawl that I was working on, the Linus shawl, and I'm using that as my fading. I know there's a Find Your Fade shawl that everybody has been doing, and I'm very kind of new at knitting. I've been knitting about 1.5 years now maybe, and I crocheted for over 20 years. So I wanted to try something where I could fade, and so I decided I want to do something simple. I decided on the Linus, which I found on Ravelry, and so I'll show it to you. I had showed this before in the other podcasts. I started with the white, which I now wish I wouldn't have done. I didn't want to have my ends separate colors, which actually would have probably been better. I don't like the contrast with the colors, but I've started it. I'm not going to take it out, and if I do this again, I won't add the other color. I will just allow it to fade through. But I am on my second skein of yarn. I don't know if you can really see it really getting any lighter. Maybe a little bit darker, getting a little bit lighter. But then the next color I bring in will definitely be obvious. Let's see here. Definitely can see that there's a difference. So this is the color I'm using. I don't know if the lighting's okay, if you can see that. So anyways, and then from there it will go even lighter. Let me try something. See if that works. So yeah, so I'm going to work on that, and the yarn I'm using for that is Frolicking Feet, and there is the tag, and it is number 6 Chateau Rose, and it's 6 100 yards skeins. So I'm just going to go and make it as big as I can, and then we'll see. We'll see how that works. So that is my, what I called my Find My Fade or fading shawl, using the Linus pattern. The other thing I wanted to, oh, and I'm using my Addy Clicks US 4s, which is 3.5 millimeters. Those are what I'm using. I have an interchangeable set, and that's what I'm using for that. Second thing I wanted to talk about for knitting is I am doing a mini madness shawl for a co-worker who has been extremely wonderful to me. I have been ill recently. This year has not been great for our family with illnesses. Had a lot of issues with migraines, and then I had some issues with kidney stones. So therefore, my coworker has, several of them, has really stepped up and helped out in my department, and particularly this one that I adore, and I want to make her something. I don't think she'll be watching this. So anyway, so I wanted to make this shawl for her. And here you go. It is, here, I'll take this off. It is, goes like this. And up, I'm about halfway done probably. And her favorite colors seem to be, now I don't know for sure, but she wears a lot of the purples and mauves and that sort of things. So I thought this was absolutely perfect for her. I love the pattern. I love the lace. The eyelets are so much fun. It helps me to learn a little bit of lace rather than doing the same stockinette or garter stitch over and over. So this is fun, and here is the skein caked up. There we go. And there it is. And let's see, this is Rowan. Here's the ball band, Rowan. And I don't see a color name on here, it just says SH302. So I'm assuming that's the color number. And it's sock yarn. And I just absolutely love it. It's beautiful. It will look great on her. And my needles are Chai Goose. I'm using Chai Goose, and I'm using size 4 Chai Goose. Lace, size 4. So there you go. I will make another one of these for myself. This is an easy knit. I like it for beginners who are trying to learn a little bit of a pattern, and very well written pattern. Got it from Ravelry, and so I absolutely love it. The pattern, I believe, is from Angie Kimmel, but I did get it on Ravelry. Okay, the other thing I wanted to talk about is socks. I have really been trying to figure out how to do socks, mainly the heels, the gusset area. It's just been very hard for me, and so I want to talk a little bit about socks. My first attempt at socks, and I'll show you, were I bought the Ann Budd Getting Started Knitting Socks book, and it's a really nice book. However, I'm stuck at the pickup for the gusset area. I seem to be on the wrong, ending on the wrong side. So I will show you. Let me show you where I'm at. I was doing DPNs. Here's one. This is not good yarn to be doing this, so it's kind of just practicing. So here I am, and I've turned the heel, if you can see that, and I should be picking up on this. I should be picking up on this side and picking up along here. I'm going to try to turn my light back on, see if this will help again. Okay, so here it is. Turn the heel. I'm ending on this side. I should be picking up on this side. Now I could probably knit across and then go ahead and work on it, but then I won't be following the pattern exactly as far as count and everything, and I'm trying to be exact to this in order to help me follow her. I may have to scrub that and just try it anyways, just to learn the technique if nothing else. But I have that. I have actually, I was trying to do them 2 at a time, so not on the same, obviously, because I'm doing DPNs, but just having 2 going at the same time. Now I have scrap waste yarn in there holding it. And the same thing, seemed to have ended on the wrong side. So it's a top down, obviously. And so yeah, so I've set these aside. I may come back to this at some point and try it again. Like I said, just go over to where I need to be. Don't worry about the count, and just try to figure out the actual picking up the gusset and everything, and not leaving gaping holes. So I did take a class at our local yarn store, and they were teaching the slipper sock. Here it is, the slipper sock. And I don't know if this is a paid for pattern or not, so it might be. I believe I may have actually paid for it with the class. Turn this light off again. Let's see if this helps. So let me try something else. Okay, maybe that will help. So anyway, so I took the class, and it was a large class, so we didn't get to finish the first slipper completely. So I went home and worked on it, and I did end up finishing it, and here it is here. I don't know if you can see that. And I did an okay job, and then I went and I tried to pick up and do the second one, and I was able to complete it. The problem is I really struggled with it, and then I tried to come back and do it again months later, and I cannot read my notes. This is very dark, and I apologize. So anyway, so I have them, and I thought, well, how about making socks without a heel? So I did pick up some patterns, and I tried to do tube socks. There was a spiral one which I couldn't seem to get the spiral correctly. So I ended that, and I thought, well, let's try it again. So now I'm working on, and I showed this in the last episode, Row 2, Part 2, I believe, that I had just started a sock, and I was really at the very beginning. And I'm not following the count because I'm just trying to get the technique of it. This may or may not be wearable, I don't know. I didn't do as much ribbing as I probably should have and stuff. I just wanted to get to where you put the waist in. I'm doing the SOS, I believe Susan B. Anderson, and so I am, this is how far I've gotten. I don't know if you can see that. It seems to be a self-striping yarn. I did put a waist yarn in. Last time I tried to use the same yarn from the center, and I would never do that again, because when you're learning, it's very difficult to see where you should be when you're using the same yarn. And when you're pulling from the same cake, it makes it very difficult sometimes as well to keep everything from getting tangled. So this is the yarn that I'm using now, and here it is in a cake. There we go. It's very pretty. I like it a lot. It is 7/16 X knit, and the color is Try On My World, which I showed last time. And it is 80% superwash merino and 20% nylon, so it should be sturdy enough for the socks. I've decided to go ahead and use Hedgehog as my heel. I don't know if this is picking up or not. And the color is Sorry Not Sorry. And I think together it will look really nice. Really, really nice together. So I'm excited. I'm not a very fast knitter, so this is taking me a while. I was sick too. I think the last time I podcasted, it may be 3 weeks or 2 weeks, 3 weeks to a month or so. And I just haven't gotten very far, but again, I haven't been feeling very well either. So anyway, so I'm excited to keep going, and we'll see how that goes. I might throw on another one like I did with the sample socks, just to have two going, because I'm afraid I will finish one finally, and then I may not get the next one going, and I really want to have a pair. So that is what I'm working on with socks. The other thing I want to talk about is crochet. I had showed in the other episodes that I was working on a blanket for my friend who her mother had some yarn from, I want to say, the 70s, and acrylic yarn, and she wanted me to turn it into something for her. She does not crochet or knit. So I had showed this where I made this, and I kind of hold it up just a little bit. It's a lap blanket for her husband. My friend loves granny squares, and she loves neon green. So I just threw that all together because it's kind of wild and crazy anyways. And I thought, okay, this is kind of fun. And so I then, excuse me, had more yarn. And I thought, well, I'll go ahead and make this then for her. And I had showed a little bit of this last time. It's a larger granny, just a granny square, continuous granny square. And so I have worked on this, again, put her favorite color in the center, and then just worked on this. And this is going to be a lap blanket for her to have. So her and her husband will each have a lap blanket. Her husband's in a wheelchair, so his is more of a rectangular shape. It will fit his wheelchair nicely, and it'll keep him very warm. It is pretty thick, so this will keep him very warm. So I'm excited to show these are finished objects. Also with crochet, and I had talked about before too, was I was wanting to do some more charity kind of crocheting. I have a lot of yarn behind me, acrylics and stuff that I would like to use up rather than it sitting around not being used. And I thought, you know, I could make some very nice items for people and donate them. So I did decide to do Meals on Wheels because of it being my family kind of hits close to home. I have a mother and father who receive those. It helps them with their meals. And I thought, why not make some little placemats that they can send with their meals to the community, and then they can have a nice little place setting for when they're eating their food. So I showed last time I had started. Well, then I found that there was an error, so I kind of ripped it all back recently, and I started it again, and didn't get as far as I would have liked, but it's kind of how it is when you're not feeling well. So here we are now. I chained on about 50. I might not chain on that much for the next one. I might make it just slightly smaller. It is very stretchy. The yarn is Caron Simply Soft Paints. I think when I cover my face, it shows better. And it's pretty. I had used this in a baby blanket, like I said before, and it is softer, and I thought, why not? It will make a nice little placemat. So this is how far I've gotten. The pattern is basically just single, double, triple, single, double, triple, single, double, triple, all the way over and back. You just keep going over top. And I talked in length about it on row 2, part 2, so to explain how you keep it kind of a flat so it's not up and down. Also, I'm holding my stitch in place with a marker that I had made, beaded. Let's see if I can get this to... It's beaded. Let me try the lighting again. I apologize. I am working on lighting and everything, so hopefully this will be okay. There we go. It's a... Get it to go. It looks upside down. There we go. I don't know why it's showing upside down on the camera. I'll have to figure that out. But it's the letter J because that's the size hook I used. And it helps me so when I come and pick this project back up, I can know if I had to pull my hook for another project, this will tell me, okay, you're using J, go get the J and start all over. Pick up and just keep going. So that's one reason why I really like this. And two is I made it by myself one day. I have a set like H, I, J, and K. Here they are actually. They're inside this little thing. I don't know if you can see them very well. They have crosses on the ends and stuff, so they're kind of fun to have. And so I'm hoping to make more of these. I'm hoping to get on a roll with this. You know, I have a lot of yarn to use up, but I have all the time in the world too, so it's not like it has to be done by a certain time or anything, and I want to enjoy it. And when I'm rushing through making things, I don't enjoy it so much. I want to just take my time and make these. There's no deadline, so that's good. So from there, I wanted to talk about some other little charms that I had made. Progress keepers, basically. But these are kind of more, I think, I'm going to use for my crochet projects, because the yarns I'm using for my crochet projects are more worsted weight type yarns and thicker, and so these rings are a little bit easier to get on to them. So I'm going to show you a couple. Also, these are all handmade, and I decided I was going to take charms that I was not using any longer, like on necklaces and that sort of thing, and I thought, why, rather than them sitting in my jewelry box, I'd pull them out and turn them into something else. So here are, I don't know if you remember these from, they were really popular at one point, birthstones, and you know, the female the triangles, the males are the circles. You know, grandmothers would wear them for their grandkids, or mothers would wear them for their kids. And so these are actually represent my family. And so I don't know if you can see them. So I put them on these clasps rather than using the claw littler clasp. I decided just to put these on these rings here because these are a lot easier to maneuver, and I can put them around the yarn a lot easier. So I have those, and then here's just a few more. I found some of these. One of them actually was from my mother-in-law when she passed away. I found this in her jewelry box. It's a picture of my husband when he was a little boy. Let's see here. If you can see. And then there's a gold heart. And then there's a little crystal-like cross. So these are just fun personal little things for me to have and to use on my projects rather than them just sitting around not being used at all. So that is my little charm progress keepers, or stitch markers, or stitch holders for crochet. And then the other thing I wanted to talk about too is crochet I have done for many years, and at one point I had a charity group. We called ourselves Yarners for Yahweh, and we did a lot of projects. I started it when I was in Virginia, and when we moved back up here to Pennsylvania, I started it again and had family and friends, and we would come to my home every other week, and we would have goals and projects and all this to work on. And my little tip for anyone out there that may be doing that sort of thing and is trying to receive yarn from the bigger companies like Red Heart or Quran or different things like that, a suggestion to you is to make sure you track your items and have confirmation of receipt of the items. So what I did was I created these little sheets, and it basically just had our goals, the dates we started it, when we wanted to end it, the name, my contact information, type of items that we provided, how many, when they were delivered, kind of a tracking. And then what I decided to do was, in order to be able to have actual confirmation that these charity places had received them, I created these little postcards. And it just basically has on there, it basically has, please read, sign, and date, confirming that you've received these items. I would put the items there, the name of the company, and then they would sign and date it. And this one has nothing on the back because these were items that were hand delivered. And so I didn't need to have it, anything on the other side. And sometimes I would take pictures of some of the items or whatever, and just have everything all in one in a page protector. Now, when you had to mail something out, I thought, well, what we'll need to do then is have the same information on the back, but then on the front it turned into like an envelope. So it's like a postcard basically. I would have my address typed in already. I would have their information, obviously. I had the stamp already put on it. I had the information filled in. All they had to do was sign and date it and put it in the mail back to me. So I would receive it. Here's one. It was a two-part thing. We did hats, baby hats, and we sent them to 2 different hospitals. That's why I have 2 cards. And then I would have that, receive the postcard information and all that stuff. So if I was ever questioned as to what I was doing with the yarn I was receiving, I could show them that yes, we were making items, this is what we were doing with it, and these people were receiving these projects, and so it was really nice, nice little way to be organized and to basically just track what you're doing in case you're ever asked. So that's just like a little tip I would suggest for anybody out there or a group that's out there that likes to donate but needs the yarn and needs help with receiving free donations for charity projects. So I feel like I've rushed through this a little bit, and I probably did. It's very nervous when you're new at this, and I have 2 cats that have been prowling around me, and I'm just waiting for them to knock something over. One day I'm sure they'll make an appearance on the podcast, and I'll show you I have a boy and a girl cat, and they're big brother sisters. One's extremely fluffy and the other one isn't so fluffy, but very curious and loving cats, and tend to get cat hair all over the place, as I'm sure you all know if you have cats. So anyways, I hope everybody out there has a wonderful Mother's Day, and enjoy your weekend. Today is, I don't even know if I've said, today is the May 13th. It's a Saturday, and here near Pittsburgh, it's a rainy day. It's supposed to rain all day, and it's probably in the maybe mid 40s right now. So kind of a yucky day, but tomorrow will be brighter and sunny, and looking forward to a wonderful Mother's Day. So God bless and take care, and I look forward to seeing you on row 4.